Title: The Weight of Unspoken Fears. Chinonso had always dreamed of becoming a mother. She imagined the day she would hold her baby in her arms, and everything would feel right in the world. She had imagined this moment for years. Long before she met Uche, the love of her life, they got married in a simple but beautiful ceremony, surrounded by their closest family and friends. It felt like a dream. The early days of their marriage were blissful, filled with laughter and soft whispers under the stars. Chinonso and Uche had always talked about their plans for the future, traveling the world, building their dream home, and of course, starting a family. Chinonso was excited about becoming a mother. The thought of a baby in her arms filled her with warmth. But then, as the months went by, things began to shift. The anticipation of pregnancy, the joy of telling her family, and the countless baby shopping sprees all seemed perfect. However, deep down, Chinonso began to feel a growing sense of anxiety she couldn't shake. The pregnancy was smooth for the most part. The doctors assured her everything was fine, and Uche was supportive, attending every appointment and taking care of her every need. But as the months passed, the weight of expectations began to weigh on Chinonso's shoulders. It wasn't just the physical changes to her body. It was the emotional changes, the subtle shifts in her thoughts and feelings. She began to feel as though she was no longer in control of her own body. The constant pressure to be happy, to enjoy this blessed time, felt suffocating. The friends and family that surrounded her, always asking, "How are you feeling?" and "Isn't this exciting?" only made it worse. The truth was she was scared. She feared the unknowns of motherhood. Would she be a good mother? Would her life ever be the same again? What if she couldn't bond with her baby? These fears gnawed at her mind every night as she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if anyone else felt this way. When the baby finally arrived, Chinonso's heart should have swelled with joy. But instead, when she looked at her newborn son, a wave of overwhelming sadness hit her. It was like someone had turned off the lights in her world. Uche, full of joy, had the camera ready to capture every moment, but Chinonso felt a heaviness in her chest. The baby in her arms felt so fragile, so demanding. She should have been happy. After all, this was what she had always wanted. But the weight of motherhood came crashing down all at once. There was no manual, no guide to help her navigate this emotional turmoil. As the days went by, her depression deepened. She started to feel guilty for not feeling the intense love and joy she thought she should feel. She loved her baby, of course, but the constant feeling of inadequacy overwhelmed her. She cried in the shower when no one could see her. She felt like a failure, unable to meet the demands of motherhood, and not living up to her own expectations of what a mother should be. Chinonso began to isolate herself. She didn't want to admit her struggles to anyone. Uche tried to comfort her, but he didn't understand the darkness that seemed to have settled inside her. Everyone around her seemed so excited, so full of joy, but she felt as if she were walking through life in a fog. Her once vibrant spirit seemed to have been replaced by a deep, aching emptiness. She started to avoid social media, unable to bear the perfect pictures of other mothers with their smiling babies. The comparison only worsened her self-doubt. She was convinced that everyone else had it all figured out, that she was the only one struggling. The exhaustion of late nights and endless feeding sessions weighed heavily on her. Each day felt like a battle she was losing. Even though she knew she needed help, she couldn't bring herself to ask for it. She was terrified of being judged, of someone telling her that she should be grateful or that others would kill to be in her shoes. But all Chinonso could feel was exhaustion, guilt, and shame. It was one evening, as Chinonso sat alone in the dark, staring at the baby monitor, that she realized she couldn't keep carrying this burden alone. She had become so caught up in her own mind that she had neglected the most important thing, to speak up. She reached out to her best friend Nkichi, who had been there for her through thick and thin. "I don't know what's happening to me," Chinonso confessed. "I don't feel like myself anymore. I should be happy. I should be grateful. But I feel lost." Nkechi, who had gone through her own struggles after becoming a mother, didn't offer the usual empty words of encouragement. Instead, she said, "You're not alone, Chinonso. This is harder than people let on, and it's okay to not be okay." For the first time in months, Chinonso let herself cry, knowing that it was okay to feel this way. She wasn't a bad mother, nor was she failing at life. She was simply struggling, and that was okay. With the support of Uche, who started to understand her pain more deeply, and with the encouragement of her friends, Chinonso began to take small steps toward healing. She sought professional help and started to talk about her feelings openly, no longer afraid of being judged. Slowly, the dark cloud that had loomed over her life started to lift. She began to cherish the little moments, the soft coo of her baby, the way he reached out for her hand, the quiet times she spent with Uche. She started to understand that motherhood didn't have to be perfect, and that love didn't always come in an instant. It could grow day by day, even through the struggles. Chinonso still had her bad days, but now she knew she wasn't alone in them. And with each passing day, she learned to embrace the beauty of motherhood, not because it was flawless, but because it was hers.